I knew I didn't hit it because I mean my stuff is all back like this. Yeah, yeah, yep, yep. Okay, all right. Call this session to order, May 16th, 7:06. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. Okay, visitor comments. Please keep your talks limited to 5 minutes, please. Okay, Al.
Oh, did I give you one? Okay. We have a 5-slide presentation, so it should take less than 5 minutes. Is this on? I can't
Yeah,
tell.
yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
Yep.
Can't hear myself. And there's an announcement in the paper today. It just came out. I just wanted to present quickly, briefly, a project that Shedco is working on, which is a mobile app project. Basically, this mobile app showcases St. Helens. It's kind of a mixture between a trivia game, between a Pokemon game, similar to the Pokemons that everybody's following their phone around and tripping over things. And let's see, and it's similar to a treasure hunt. It brings people into local businesses. So we are very excited about it. We have partnered with the museum at the courthouse. They have actually gone through this and proofed it for accuracy. We've also are working or planning, we've had conversations with and planning on working with Columbia County Keep It Local. We think that this is a good possibility for taking this county-wide. We've also talked to the Columbia County Cultural Coalition, which is really responsible for arts and culture and historic stuff at the county level. Their board is very excited about this app, and they also are interested in taking it countywide based on county historic and artistic resources. So we think it's going to be a very interesting app. I've tried it out a couple of times, and it basically can walk you around town, takes you to different interesting places. It is a game, so you earn points, and part of those points you can get prizes. Now we are partnering with how many businesses? Okay, so we've got about 15 featured businesses. The app, can you just go to the next slide, please, Kathy? Okay, the app focuses on what is the downtown area and the uptown area or the Holton area. So in the downtown area, it takes you to various businesses and various sites. It is interactive. Sometimes in order to get points, you take a picture and post it. I don't know if it's still on the app. Sometimes you post a short video. And then also, can you go to the next slide, please? It asks questions about historic places, and then you get an answer. And if you get an answer, if you get the answer correct, you get points. Sometimes, like the slide on, well, it's on my left, which is over here, it asks you to go into the business, and it asks you to scan a QR code similar to the one on the back of your card, and you get points that way. And then, of course, on the other side over here, it asks you trivia questions, and you get points that way. And then it also allows us to see who the people are, where they went,
Yeah.
what things they posted, and then I don't know all of the miscellaneous details to it, but it's a very interesting app. I think that I tried it out. Actually, I lived in Spain for a while, so I tried it out in Cordoba, Spain, just for the fun of it, from my house, and I went kind of followed the app through where you would go. And the one that I saw in Cordoba, Spain, they had like a historic tour where you went to different buildings and it basically told you. It wasn't as interactive as Amanda's set ours up to be, but it basically gave you the history of the downtown core of Cordoba. And this one does it only, I think it's great because it does it in a way that gets people into the businesses. It's interactive and it's educational. So if you go to the next slide, this is kind of the final stuff that we're able to look at, and how many people scanned the codes, some of the statistics that we can look at and see how it is used, and then that allows us to tweak it so that we can improve it in a way that is better for the businesses, for example, or if something, some other place that we want to do comes up, or for example, I don't know, because we haven't tried it yet, but it could be used as a place for somebody to do a different treasure hunt, even like in McCormick Park, if you wanted to do it. Amanda, when she brought it to the board, mentioned that it was being used at inside a convention center, to go to different vendors inside a convention center. So it's pretty accurate relative to the GPS because it's so specific on the convention center. I suspect that's because inside a convention center, your GPS is stronger when you have lots of Wi-Fi. But in any case, I think it's a great product. I think there's different things. There's some tweaks that maybe the app maker could make to make it a little better, but that's no matter what app you use, there's always going to be things that different people interact with well and different things they don't interact with well. So could you go to the last slide, please? So basically the name of the app is called Action Bound, and I have it on my phone. And it is very much like I showed you there. It basically, see if I have it up.
And
Yeah,
I'm here
I
to
have.
answer any geeky questions.
Yeah, she knows all the geeky questions. I'm just giving you the broad brush. But what it has, which I think is interesting, is when you're walking around, let's see if I can find it. The one with the compass.
Oh, it's not showing because you've already done it.
Okay. Anyway, I think it's a great app. I think it will be, if it's used by tourists who come to town, it's going to be very helpful because it takes them around town, and it gives them history, it gives them a little culture, it brings them into different businesses, and the entire board is very happy about the way it turned out. Les Waters over at the museum, like I said, helped us edit and make corrections about the accuracy of the product, and I think they may be looking at it to do a very specific historic walking tour. I'm not sure, but we just wanted to present it to you tonight. We hope that you try it out. I think it'll be fun to try. I wasn't walking around when I tried it out. I just tried it out at home. I want to try it out again when I'm walking around, just to see, how well I think that the GPS is doing, and how well, how well it works once I start. For example, if I was needed to post a picture or something like that, how well it worked when I actually did it. So what I gave you tonight is the card. It has the QR code on the back, which is the QR code which will take you directly to St. Helens. If you don't want to use the QR code, you can just type in St. Helens and it should pop up. Yeah, inside the app. You have to do that inside the app. And then there's going to be weekly challenges and things like that. So we think it's going to be really fun thing for people to do. And if you have any questions.
I like the disclaimer.
Yeah.
Mostly because I went with me and Gretchen and the kids came down here a few weekends ago, and my kids watched the arrow and like into the road. I was just like, oh my gosh, dude, there's cars, and so that was a must. Please do not get ran over and sue us. Disclaimer.
For those that don't have the card, it says be aware of your surroundings while you are playing.
We do not want to be the Pokemon people when those people walked off the cliff.
So if I download this, you folks aren't going to sell my information to the Russians or anything like that, are you?
Russian, not
Well,
Russian.
that's what I was gonna that's what I was gonna ask, is not to sell this information to the Russians. But, will you be able to share this information with the stores on what? Because they could actually even take it a step further if you were working together and have barcodes and deals on special items in their store too as well.
Absolutely. And just a quick comment. We haven't come and presented the next step yet because it's still in formulation. But we have a very large technology play type of a program that we're trying to roll out later in the year. And we're trying to ease our businesses into the use of technology and how valuable it can be. So this first project is geared to making sure, hey, do you have a Facebook page that we can drive them to, making them aware of how many people actually follow their mobile devices. So this is kind of our way of softening up the community to how important technology is so that we can integrate it.
Yep. Computers know, my computer probably knows me better than I know myself, because they are constantly watching everything I'm looking at. If an item sits there for too long, idle, it knows I'm probably reading or if I'm scrolling it. It's very eerie how technology is doing that.
Well, Google did try to get me to lie to you guys about some of the historic facts. So I really appreciate Les making sure that that didn't happen.
Yeah.
It doesn't know it all. You're right, but it's amazing. I applaud you guys on this.
We
Yeah,
were
it's
hoping that
clever.
it could go up on Discover Columbia County, and if you guys would be willing to kind of promote it. We are also looking for groups that want to do sponsorships, like a $25 gift certificate, and then that week we'll say, this is brought to you by
Absolutely.
XYZ. So if you guys are interested in being a sponsor for a week, and we can leave some of these so that you have them at the city. And if you guys run out, we're going to try to keep them kind of where our Main Street maps were. And then, again, this is kind of like the soft launch. We would really like to partner with you guys, with other agencies across the county. We have a lot of draws that bring people here throughout the year. If we utilize this and kind of expand upon it, it's WYSIWYG software, which is what you see is what you get. So it's very easy to use. We're going to implement it for like a bar crawl that we have coming up, to where each bar can have different activities, like throw X amount of points on darts, and then you go to the next step. So we're trying to help local businesses also utilize this technology inside of their locations too.
Absolutely. Yes.
Cool.
Thank you guys. Anybody else?
I got a geeky question.
Geeky
I might have a
question.
geeky answer.
How do I find my own phone number on the thing?
We'll have one-on-one later, Pete. So I'm going to leave this. Can I get this to Kathy?
Yep.
You run out. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Do you need to send anything for it to be put up, or is what we gave you enough to be?
Possibly. I'll get in contact with you guys. Okay.
Okay, thank
Yep.
you.
Yep.
We have 7 of these.
Probably be okay.
Hey, thank you.
Subject matter is becoming apparent.
Here, I'll share with you, David.
Please state your name.
Thank you, Council. I am Ken Forcier. I appeared before you a couple of weeks ago and broached the topic of the Flying Eagle canoe, and I was told that we'd better be getting in a request to take it out by this council meeting, and so that's what I've prepared for you here today. The letter that you see is transcribed by me from almost verbatim from a letter that Willow Bill sent to me to present to you on his behalf. The dates and everything are transcribed from his notes, and they are his. So this is the formal request from Willow Bill to once again take this historic canoe out and share it with the community this year. And in addition to that, I wanted to address a couple of the issues that we talked about last week, one of which was the insurance. I wanted to ask if, of Matt, if anything had been discovered along those lines as to whether the city was going to be able to insure the canoe this year since the St. Helens Foundation had folded. I know we discussed that a couple of weeks ago, and I thought maybe there'd be some progress in understanding if that was going to happen by this session. There is one more session prior to this date.
What I can tell you is that that's our big question is the insurance too.
Okay, was anything mobilized as far as inquiring from the city's insurance company about solidifying that?
We don't know about liability.
Right.
It's what
There is a
what-
release form, a liability release form that is that is already written by attorneys, but it's in the name of the St. Helens Community Foundation. So ostensibly, you would just substitute the city's name where St. Helens Community Foundation was, and there is a liability release form that can be printed and signed by each passenger, and that was protocol for years past.
I have a couple questions.
Mm-hmm.
How many, I have seen this canoe get loaded up in past years. How many years have you been taking this track?
I am a recent initiate.
But the canoe's been doing this traveling thing
Yeah.
for a while.
Oh, yeah. Oh, the canoe's been doing it every year this is the 11th year is what Willow Bill has put in his letter.
Is this the same canoe that took the kids over to Sand Island?
I don't know
They
the
did
history
third
of that
grade
trip.
field trips. I didn't know if it's the same canoe.
I
I
don't
Great.
think
Probably.
so. That was two different canoes. I remember them being around.
Okay, I
Yeah.
just was curious. I just,
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't
that-
think it is the same.
that outreach
That
to
was
the
a
young people is so
Few
important.
years back, right?
Yeah,
Yep.
I mean, it'd be, our daughters are close in age, so.
Yes. Yep.
Yeah.
But I just remember it being that whole exposure was such a good learning experience for the kids.
It sure is.
So the big question is, we need a copy of that, probably either emailed to us or delivered here to the city, just so we can look that over. and-
Okay, the liability release.
Yeah,
form,
because
okay.
that's what was our
Can
main
we,
hiccup.
can we direct Matt to work with him to get the insurance waiver and follow up on that? To see if see what the insurance and see what that is between now and the next meeting, like you say, that if you need an answer in 2 weeks?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Excellent. And I was also asking of Keith Locke if we were going to be able to, I had mentioned that there was going to be a fundraiser for the canoe on Father's Day, the 17th of June. And
For
for costs associated with it and making sure that the equipment is, the
for your
top-
guys' stuff, not for the
It was
canoe
al-
itself.
it was originally intended for insurance, but it was already scheduled, so we're moving forward and we're thinking about life preservers and just any of the expenses
Support the cost of the
associated
trip.
supporting the effort. Yeah.
Yep.
So that will continue.
Keith, did you have comments?
There's also some upkeep that needs to be done before the canoe goes out this year. Some more finishing work done to it.
What kind of stress does a trip like this put on the canoe?
As long as it's floating straight down the river, hardly any stress, but just depends on what you hit.
Avoid all logs.
It is 600 to 700 pounds, so once it gets moving,
It doesn't
it's hard to stop.
Yeah. Yep.
So while this letter mentions, I believe, the 23rd as the date that Willow Bill had hoped to take the boat out on the river, we are hoping to take possession of it from storage across town on the 17th and use it as a display item in front of the Running Dogs brewery on the 17th for this event, and also have that time from between then and the trip, when the trip starts, to address the maintenance concerns that Keith was talking about, which would be oiling the canoe, and there's a crack in the nose that should be addressed with some epoxy filler repair of sorts.
How many individuals will you be transporting at one time?
I believe it's only 5 at a time in the canoe is the maximum payload of individuals, and it can be as few as 1 if he doesn't have anybody with him and he needs to take it from one place to another, but that's not his intent.
Who set the standard with 5? Who?
I believe Comfort set that standard. I think that you could probably put 12 warriors.
Nothing to have to do with safety, just comfort, right?
That log will float a lot of people, but 5 is what's comfortable.
Okay.
Because
Have you filed a flight plan or a float plan with the Coast Guard or anything like that?
We haven't sent that in yet, but you have it in
Flying
front of you
people.
now.
because it's the 5 people plus the gear, right?
Yes, the gear. Mostly you sit on the gear and you pack it around you for comfort and that kind of thing.
Yeah, that's really going to be our biggest hiccup is just the waiver and make sure that.
I'll make sure that I
the
get that to Matt right
liability.
away. Yeah.
uh,
Okay.
Okay.
Good.
All right.
Thank you very much.
Yep. Okay. Other visitor comments. Please state your name for the record, Garrett.
Hello, my name is Garrett Lyons, and I came here to address something that came up in next to the last budget committee meeting. As you remember, we spent quite a bit of time on how to raise much-needed funds for parks, maintenance, and improvements. At that time, we looked at assessments to water and sewer bills. At that time, I thought that it was stated that there would be a survey sent out in the next water bill that could be sent back in. Eventually, that was not a survey, but it was a addition to the water bill, and it was in the smallest font, and it says, "Please take a short online survey to provide feedback on recreation activities," and the website. At our meeting, it was mainly talking about how much we should be assessing in fees to the homeowners of St. Helens on their water and sewer bills.
Mhm.
And we had various amounts of between $2 and $5. Now, and some of the surveys had come back as they had gone out to the school, and people had put on there and the survey was actually asking for recreation. And some
Right.
people had as recreation, they had going to the movies, going out to eat. And so at the end of the survey, it says, how much would you be willing to pay to support a recreation program in the city of St. Helens? Now, that's quite a nebulous thing because it doesn't even, a recreation program could be almost anything. It doesn't address what the money was really for, was for park maintenance and improvements. And so if you're talking about going out to eat, you're not going to choose $1 or $2 a month. I mean, you're talking about more than $5. And I think that the problem with this is that if we're out to try to find out how people feel about an assessment to the water and sewer bill for park maintenance and upkeep, we should actually ask them that. Because this survey says nothing about adding money to your water and sewer bill. I think it's a good survey. I mean, you find out something about what people want for recreation. But if we're using that to find out what people feel about an assessment to the water and sewer bill, first of all, I think many people won't even fill out the survey because it has nothing to do with the water and sewer bill. And if they do fill it out, it does not ask them what they're willing to pay for maintenance and upkeep of the parks. Now, I think maintenance and upkeep of a park is very important, and it should be stressed, but I think this survey is not really helping answer that question. So that's my comments.
Garrett, it wasn't for parks maintenance, it was for recreation. And if the survey that I took did ask about the fee and the amount that people were willing to pay.
Well, actually it says, I'll read it to you. It says, how much are you willing to pay to support a recreation program in
Right.
the city of St. Helens?
Right, that was what we talked about.
But the assessment was for park maintenance and upkeep.
No,
So, just to clarify, that was talked about, but we also had talked about, we were talking about the rec. Susan's right, because the library's on the agenda, so
Right,
that
we're
halftime person and then the halftime rec person was what that $2 was really about.
Right.
But
Well,
Um,
okay, if it's for the library and
Yes.
parks and the parks,
And
For the park and rec person, which are both park and rec, because even the library has got enough on the agenda that it falls
Right.
underneath that rec part
It's
of it.
included under that, not
Yes.
separate.
And there's even more confusion, I think, Garrett, with the two different funds. We have an enterprise fund, which water and sewer and storm drainage is all about funded. And then we have a general fund. And so we're switching those funds we're not talking about the enterprise fund funding the parks. We're talking about going over into the general fund on a sewer bill. So that to me was confusing. It is to some of our ratepayers as well.
and so we're not talking about asking for a fee to be charged for your water and sewer. Is that correct? Now, did I misunderstand that?
It'll be in the
You're-
bill,
Beyond,
apparently.
We're-
It would be in the bill for
Attached to the enterprise fund, the enterprise water, sewer, and storm, it will be included in that bill and tacked on to that if the council okays the $2 or $5 a month or whatever that is.
right. And I thought the council wanted, but I thought the council wanted input onto.
We
what-
did, and we are. We did, and we are. This doesn't apply till January of next year.
I realized, that,
Yeah, okay,
but
yeah.
the whole thing was presented as this survey was going to help to determine what people wanted to pay. Well, thought about
Yes.
what would be a reasonable amount to pay.
Yes, but
But my comment is that it never asked that in the survey.
it doesn't? I thought it did. I thought it.
I understand it exactly the way he
We-
does.
Okay,
And so
'Cause I'm not
that's,
getting it, 'cause I
there
know-
is a misunderstanding or a miscommunication, because I understand, I wasn't sure of the timing of a paper survey, but I interpreted it to be a survey in a manner of a different way than we've been serving. So it would reach a different population. So if we continue to just send a link, the people that don't do the internet are still not gonna do the link. And you had talked about a paper survey reaching people that maybe don't have internet, aren't gonna do that, a way that people could respond in a paper way. And I understood that, but I didn't know when. But I also understood that that $2 was for parks and rec, not just rec. And so that's what I thought, is it was gonna cover some of that.
yes, a small
Both of
fraction.
those, yeah.
it was
correct.
for the
That's what I
program, the
understood.
Recreation and Parks
But I thought
program.
part of the survey was to find out what people
I
thought
thought it
about
was
would be a
gonna-
reasonable assessment on their water bill.
Yeah, and they
Wasn't
had
crystal
choices
clear
of
to me either.
$2, $3.
It wasn't crystal clear to me. When I read the
$4.
question, I didn't understand
And
it.
$5, I think.
Yeah.
And then other.
Yes, but it has nothing, it never says anything about your water, paying this.
Right.
It says, how much are you willing to pay to support a recreation program in the city of St. Helens?
It doesn't say how much additional water bill do you
It
want to
doesn't
pay.
say how you're gonna pay for it.
Well, it's not a water bill, so
Well,
It's,
I get what you're saying. I
understand.
get what you're saying. We'll make sure we get that information out. Specifically like you're saying. And we talked about having a hearing.
A
I
public
think
forum.
$2 is not enough. Just by a raise of hands, I'm just curious. You don't have to if you don't want to participate, but who's in favor of paying $3 a month for a rec program around here? Who's opposed to paying $3 a month? Okay.
Just simply because we have SBC charges as builders, we have school taxes and some high rentals and everything we raise
Yeah.
goes on to that renters. We already have affordability problems for rents in this town.
Mm-hmm.
So anything you add on to it adds on to that rent. But it just seems like $2 or $5 our water bills are already really high.
But you're out. The boss raised your hand, so it doesn't matter.
you two need to negotiate that.
So
You bring up a good point.
But I think that the critical thing is, it says on this thing on the sewer bill, it says, please take a short online survey to provide feedback on recreational activities. It has nothing about what
Well,
you're willing
the
to
reason-
pay.
the reason
No,
we-
wait, let me finish.
Okay.
It has nothing to do with what you're,
Proposed new fee,
telling people that, what were you willing to pay
right.
for this?
Mm-hmm.
And
But
how
we
you're
will,
willing to
we
pay
will
for it.
have a public forum and we will continue, we move forward. The bills are done so far in advance that programming in there, that there wouldn't be enough time to change that. I'm just assuming the lead time of adding something to the bill is more than the length of time from the last budget committee till when you got your.
Garrett,
I just don't want to surprise people
Yeah,
in
no
the
surprise.
community and say,
no, but,
you didn't tell me this was going to be a my water and sewer.
Right.
so
Well,
what I
you're on the budget committee, you don't want to be on that hook. You want to make sure people have a chance.
So what I can tell you is that survey was done, and probably it was done before our even budget committee started, and that was this was an avenue of advertising, that one more avenue. This is not what we discussed in our budget committee meeting. We actually discussed an open forum, public hearing, style meeting, getting some outreach on, because we don't think $2 is enough, and that question was already on that way before. You can check. We're working with the school district. They're aware of this. This has been, that survey has been around for months now.
It's
There's more
collaboration
outreach
between
coming.
us.
No.
That's not it.
So
It's going out through their
Yeah.
resources as well as ours.
it's not just us. Yes. Yep. That's right.
Okay,
Okay.
thanks.
Just to clarify. Okay. Any other visitor comments? Okay. Deliberations, 18 lot subdivision plan development at 347. Oh, I did. Sorry, Paul.
I wondered.
I didn't mean to do that, Paul.
You're here for nothing.
Okay, annual report from Bicycle and Pedestrian Commission. Paul Barlow.
I think I should have just been on the visitors section. I could've just jumped up here 15 minutes ago. All right. I won't take too much of your time. Just wanted to talk a little bit about Bike and Pedestrian Commission, kind of what we've done this over the past year, and kind of what we're looking at doing moving forward. One of the areas that we, as I've kind of went over some of our meeting notes, and haven't only had a few meetings this past year, limited small group. There's only 3 of us on the committee now, so. But we have gotten together and had a few meetings, and so I kind of went back and tried to go through some of the stuff, that projects that we've been involved in, and things that we've been involved in. So as you're all aware of, our main project that we do annually is happens to be the month of May Bicycle Safety Awareness Month, and we just visited McBride School last Friday, I think. And that's, I think that's like maybe year 7 or 8 that we've been doing that, and we've got helmets that we provide to the children that are in need of helmets. Not every student, and it's just the 5th graders, and talk to them about rules of the road, riding safely, the proper clothing to be wearing when they're out there riding around, high visibility clothing and such, all right. Well, you guys have to kind of excuse me because I still got that from knocking my head. Speaking of bike, my brain flatlines every once in a while. So, anyways, so anyhow, we did that last Friday, and Councillor Keith was there with us. We've tried the last few years to have the police there with us, which has went over real well. But they got called out right before, I think just a few minutes before we were making the presentation. But yeah, it was a nice get together for the group, and had a chance to talk to all the students and gave them some stickers. I think we had some reflective stickers that from the youth council that we got, that they can hang on their backpacks and such. And they gave out a bunch of other stickers as well. And then next week, then we'll be at Lewis and Clark. So we've been doing it for the 5th graders, like I said, the last 7 or 8 years, and just trying to keep a stock inventory of helmets. I'm not sure exactly where Keith is storing them at, but I know that they're somewhere close by. Yeah, we've been able to do that, and we'll continue to do that. Seems like
How many helmets do you guys hand out, do you think?
I think we only handed out about like 40 at McBride, and then it seems like Lewis and Clark has always taken more, so probably about 100 between the two.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
We're getting 100
Yeah.
kids a year protected with helmets. That's cool.
Yeah, if you see those, you see them. I see them riding around and see the helmets and go, yeah, that's one of the helmets. So yeah, it's a good program that we've been able to continue. And then last year we were involved in that Citizens Day in the Park, which I understand is going to be August 11th this year. And so we're making plans to be down there again. Last year it worked out real well. We set up a table and once again had helmets there available for the kids. We had a free clinic going on there at the BMX track and had the concessions area open for the kids and had snow cone machine and a few other things. And then obviously educating them about proper fitting for helmets and have safety brochures that are there available, and just kind of as a way to reach out to the community and let them know who we are as a committee, and that they've got a bicycle and pedestrian committee here that's trying to advocate on their behalf for safe roads. So yeah, we look forward to doing that again, being a part of that. So that'll be exciting. Probably, I assume, in similar fashion. I haven't really spoken with anybody formally about it yet, but I'm sure we'll be a similar format to what was last year. Then October, it was interesting. They mentioned about the scavenger hunt, because I might be talking with them later, because we've done the last couple of years. It hasn't been real successful, but we have done a scavenger bicycle ride. That's kind of part of the Halloween Town Bite Me Bike Ride, and plan to continue that again as well. So just kind of a scavenger hunt, kind of along the same lines as what they were talking about. I thought of doing something like that you didn't have to put on a bike ride. People could just kind of go out on their own, and also a way to expose them to businesses in the community, some of the same stuff that's already been mentioned earlier. And then we do have the Columbia Century Challenge that started its first year, 3 years ago here in St. Helens. And we rotate around to throughout the county, and it'll be starting and finishing in Scappoose this year. And the committee, the members that are on the committee have certainly involved in that and have helped out with that as well. Moving on to the next item on there is engineering. And I kind of took these from the League of American Bicyclists. They're kind of their 5 E's: education, encouragement, engineering. I can't remember the other two, but anyways, so this is that's kind of where I got that from. But one of the areas that actually Ben has been working closely with Jen, I believe, Jenny, for the bike racks, and so they've been taking a inventory. I think there's a map that Ben sent me. It's kind of a rough draft of some inventory of what our existing bicycle rack situation is along Main Street and downtown area, and trying to put together a plan to identify where there could be some additional bicycle racks placed. And they've also identified that a particular grant that they're going to be applying for to install some of these grants. I understand that some of the type of racks and some of that stuff or they're still kind of working on, but they have identified people for bikes that they're planning on applying for a grant as soon as that window opens up. Apparently it hasn't opened up for 2018. And then Ben, I guess, is going to be attending a grant writing workshop on May 23rd, which is hosted here by the Columbia County Cultural Coalition. So kind of as part of that, kind of roll right into this, writing this grant, hopefully to get some funding for the bike racks. One of the other items that we had talked about earlier regarding the Columbia Century Challenge is we have kind of taken on the role of advising the Cycle Columbia County bike group or the ride regarding areas of need within the community, because the ride has money, as an example, put a couple of these mobile bicycle workstations on the Crown Zellerback Trail as part of funds that were raised from the bike ride last year. Part of the goal of putting the ride together was not only exposing Columbia County to cyclists and bringing cyclists out here for tourism, but it was also to use some of those funds that are that come in from that bike ride to put back into the communities within Columbia County by adding bike racks, painting bike lanes, fixing sidewalks, things like that need infrastructure improvements and education, outreach, things of that nature. So that's one of the things that we had talked about. We haven't really formalized that, but we're certainly, like I said, all of us are kind of involved in the ride, but we're certainly have advised the group that puts on the ride when it comes to distributing those funds this next go around after this next ride that's coming up. And then always advise the city council on any needed improvements as well through our meetings that we have. If there's areas of low lighting, I think we had talked about once before in a certain area in town for pedestrians, or whatever issue it might be that comes up. We try to bring that up and make sure hopefully it gets taken to the city council. And then basically to continue to provide input for trails in the parks. That's something else we've been done over the past and continue to do, and probably maybe we'll do a little bit more now that I guess we're going to be merging with another committee, or they're merging with us.
Yeah, either or.
So
Teamwork.
Yeah. So it should be a good fit. So, but that's kind of.
Any questions?
A follow-up question.
Right.
How's everything at the BMX track?
We were going to open up a couple of weeks ago, and then we had an issue with the gate system, so had to take it into Leonard out there at Columbia Audio, but he got it back to me today, so we got it fixed, and we're supposed to start racing this Saturday.
And then on a side note, unrelated to bicycling very much, how are you doing?
Better.
Okay.
Yeah, I just kind of.
It does my heart when somebody said that you were down and out, and seeing your truck out there dragging the BMX track, it's like he's not out.
Yeah, I have to be careful because the family gets, they get upset at me because I'm not supposed to take on too much stuff. So, and I've always been pretty active, so that's probably been the toughest part. It's not having to slow down.
Mm-hmm.
So, anyways,
thanks for everything.
You knew that hard head would come in handy one day, right?
Yeah. It kind of makes you appreciate your brain. You realize that you're better off breaking your leg. Don't mess with your head.
Not too comfortable either.
I wish I'd have broke my leg or something, but anyways.
All right, any other questions for Paul?
Take care.
I was going to ask a question, though.
Yeah.
Regarding making recommendations to the council, I think that, that it's important for the members that are in the group to feel like they're making a difference, in the community.
Yes.
Sometimes it doesn't seem like we do a lot. We meet a few times. This last year we probably met 3 times. The school event is good because I think it gives people a sense of, you know, hey, they're doing something that's good for the community. But I think that it's just something that I was thinking about in terms of if there is like an issue with lighting or a sidewalk issue or something like that. I believe that that information or that concern gets to the city council. I think sometimes maybe feedback as to, okay, well, this couldn't be done because there's an issue, or we've looked at that already, and
Or to
you
know
know,
that it's in progress, that
or that it's in
planning
progress or
something.
something like that.
It didn't fall on deaf ears.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, it's not a slight on anybody. It's just it was just something that I kind of thought about in terms of trying to retain and get more members. I think, you know, the more they feel like, you know, well, I'm not just going to say something about this and then never hear about it again. Not that that's why we're down to only 3 members, but you know, anyways, it was just something I thought about.
Super, good feedback.
I have a question. Do you guys have any solutions for the situation uptown in the Holton area where there are a lot of bicyclists who ride on the sidewalks or ride against in the wrong direction on the bike lanes? Do you know why that happens, or
I don't know.
what we can do about
I
it?
mean, I remember like whenever I was younger, it just seems like it's because you go down and there's the hill, you know, to come up by the old, the credit union's still there. I think that could be one reason why a lot of cyclists choose to not go that route, because they don't have no hill. It's just all downhill.
Well, I know I've been
They can
almost
skateboard.
creamed many times on the sidewalk in the Holton area.
No, like I said, I remember when I was a kid and I would, coming from downtown, and we'd never ride with traffic. As soon as you hit that split there, you'd go against traffic, and that was partly because of that hill right there. So if you guys could take out the hill there, then
It's kind of hard on pedestrians.
Blame it on engineering.
That would be mining.
that's my guess. I mean, I don't know. In terms of like enforcement's hard, you know. I mean,
Yeah.
you have to. Anyways, but
Thank you, Paul.
okay.
And if we ever don't, if you feel like something fell on deaf ears, you said it once, come back to us again.
Yeah.
Sometimes, it's not that we didn't. Sometimes it's just needs to continue to be talked about so it gets done. Okay, that's
Thank
the best
you.
way to put it. Right. Okay. Oh, okay. Okay, now we can go to deliberations. 18 lot subdivision, plan development at 34759 Sykes Road and surrounding undeveloped property, Bailey.
Now, if you would like, I can show you the affidavit of mailing, if this is something that interests the council.
You found Daniel's address on there?
I did see the original letter, and it had both dates on it. Yes, it did.
Yeah, so you can pass this amongst yourselves if you'd like, or just trust that it's in the file if you ever want to stop by and take a gander.
That's fine.
Take your word
Okay.
for it.
So I guess I'll speak of this a little bit. I think it's a fairly decent subdivision, drawn up. I know Jacob talked about this overlay zone, and I don't think we've had one for
Over 10 years.
Over 10 years. The lots don't seem too small to me. The wetlands, we as a city give a 50-foot buffer. I think it's 25 or 50 beyond what state would require. Is that correct?
State does not have a buffer.
Okay, so we actually put that buffer there.
That's correct. That's a local law since December of 2003.
It's kind of an infill lot, and it's people just shocked that I've only been here a short while. And I'm just shocked how people feel that the field next to them is their property when it never has been. So, the city wants to grow. You know.
I think the fact that the planning commission supports it unanimously is something, and our planning person does with conditions speaks well.
I agree with that.
So
You-
I'm sorry.
Unanimous by planning commission.
It was, yeah.
Yes.
The easy motion would be as recommended in the report, and this will turn into ordinance ultimately once we get all the stuff together.
So would somebody like to make a motion?
Well, I think the council, I'd like to hear from all members, and I think that our community would like to hear from all members as well of how they're going to weigh in on this. I think that's minimum expectations of what our citizens feel. I feel that when Daniel came here, he spoke with compassion and conviction, and he was very sincere and very civil. I think what was lacking with his testimony was anything concrete on paper in terms of codes or in terms of any kinds of violations. And that's why I asked, and I wanted to be very thorough about whether that was sent out, those were sent out or not, because I wanted to protect the city in doing that. So finding no real concrete evidence of why this should not be approved, I'm for the totally for the applicant in this process, because there was nothing there. There was a lot of talk, and he was very compassionate and very passionate about what he was saying, had a lot of feelings, but that isn't what we have to base, that isn't what we base our decisions on. So that's how I feel.
So if you choose to, you can, or we can make a motion and vote. If you choose to talk.
I mean, I heard all the testimony at the planning commission meeting, and it's not the first time I've not exactly been like waving red, white, and blue flags at a development, but the development adheres to all the codes as written. And that's the only way we can decide is based on codes as written. And if, you know, if there's something wrong with the code, that's not Mr. Bailey's fault. That's if there's something, the rules are the rules, and he's following them all. And so it's not for me to decide whether I like his development or I don't like his development. It's up for me to decide whether he's adhered to the laws, and he has clearly followed all the rules and all the laws that we have. You know, that's what infill lots do. They're not pretty, but
Yep.
you do the best you can with what you're given. That's all I have to say.
So, as you know, I've announced my resignation at the end of the year, and I've now living in two towns, just bought a home in Salem, Oregon, and you think the lots are small around here, and you think the fees are big around here, you haven't seen anything. So, yeah, this looks like a good thing for St. Helens.
Okay, so everybody's had a chance to comment. Is there any more discussion on this? Would somebody like to make a motion?
I move we approve the planning commission and city planners recommendation as presented.
I second.
Okay, a motion's been made and seconded to approve the planning commission and city planners proposal as recommended. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay, it was unanimous. Okay, so now I get to get into the proclamation here. Bear with me, this is my first one reading. Okay, Proclamation Week, May 13th through the 19th. Peace Officer Memorial Day, May 15th, 2018. Whereas there are approximately 900,000 law enforcement officers serving in communities across the United States, including the dedicated members of the City of St. Helens Police Department. And whereas there has been 58,627 assaults against law enforcement officers in 2016. Wow. resulting in approximately 16,677 injuries. And whereas since the first recorded death in 1791, more than 20,000 law enforcement officers in the United States have made the ultimate sacrifice and been killed in the line of duty, including one member of the City of St. Helens Police Department. And whereas the names of these dedicated public servants are engraved on the walls of the National Law Enforcement Officers Memorial in Washington, D.C., and whereas 360 names of fallen heroes have been added to the National Law Enforcement Officers Memorial this spring, including 129 officers in 2017 and 231 officers killed in the previous year. And whereas the service and sacrifice of these officers killed in the line of duty will be honored during the National Law Enforcement Officers Memorial Fund 30th Annual Candlelight Vigil on the evening of May 13th, 2018. Whereas the Candlelight Vigil is part of National Police Week, which takes place here on May 13th and through the 19th, and whereas May 15th is designated as Peace Officer Memorial Day in honor of fallen officers and their families, and the U.S. flag shown be flown at half staff. I'm getting emotional reading this. Therefore, be it resolved that the City of St. Helens formally designates May 13th through the 19th, 2018 as Police Week in St. Helens, and publicly salutes the service of law enforcement officers in our community and in communities across the nation. In witness wherefore I have hereunto set my hand and caused the seal of the City of St. Helens to, I think it's my right hand, to affix the St. Helens City Hall on this 16th day of May 2018. Wow. My hat's off to the officers. I started getting emotional on that. And who would want that job? You don't know if you're going to come home. You don't know if you're going to get a lawsuit because you were too rough, because you don't know who you're dealing with. So, okay, I'm going to gather myself here, and Chief Painter and the whole thing. So, okay. So now I have another proclamation, and this is National Public Works Week, May 20th through the 26th, 2018. Whereas public works infrastructure facilities and services of a vital importance to sustainable communities and to the health, safety, and well-being of people of the City of St. Helens, and whereas public work services provided in our communities are an integral part of our citizens' everyday lives. And whereas the facilities and service could not be provided without the dedicated efforts of public works professionals, engineers, managers, and employees of state and local governments and the private sector. And whereas these individuals plan, design, build, operate, and maintain the transportation, water supply, wastewater treatment, wastewater treatment, and solid waste systems, public building structures and facilities, and deliver transit and fleet services which are essential to serve our citizens. And whereas it is in public interest for citizens and civic leaders to gain knowledge and maintain the progressive interest in understanding of public works and public works programs in their communities. And whereas the year 2018 marks the 58th Annual National Public Works Week, sponsored by the American Public Works Association. Now, therefore, I, Mayor of City of St. Helens, call upon the citizens to be thankful for the public works services provided to this community, and to recognize the sustainable contributions our public works personnel make every day to our health, safety, comfort, and quality of life, and do hereby proclaim May 20th to the 26th, 2018 as National Public Works Week in the City of St. Helens. In witness whereof I have hereunto set my hand and caused the seal of the city of St. Helens to be fixed at the St. Helens City Hall on this 16th day of May 2018. Whew. Okay.
Hey, we're going to celebrate that tomorrow morning at Public Works with a
Friday.
or Friday.
Friday morning.
Friday. I'll show up tomorrow anyway, right?
Are you scratched off there?
Yeah.
That one's going away, right?
Yeah.
That's what I thought.
Okay. We're gonna approve and authorize for signature. A, contracts with High Cascade Inc. for Section 28 timber sale.
Number 7 went away.
Yeah. B, contract for CXT Inc. for purpose of prefabricated restroom for Great Cliffs Park. And C, contract payment.
Move we approve and authorize for signature 8A through C.
Second.
Okay, motion's been made and seconded to approve 8A through C. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, reappoint Margaret Jeffries to Columbia County Foundation Board.
Move we reappoint Margaret Jeffries to Columbia Foundation Board.
Second.
Okay, motion's been made and seconded to put Margaret back to Columbia County Foundation Board. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Consent agenda for acceptance. A, Planning Commission minutes dated April 10th, 2018.
Move we accept consent agenda 10A.
Second.
Okay, motion's been made and seconded to approve consent agenda 10A. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, consent agenda for approval. A, council work session, executive session, public hearing, and regular session minutes dated April 16th, 2018, and May 2nd, 2018. B, recreation coordinator job description. C, recreation assistant job description. And D, accounts payable bill list.
Move we, go ahead.
Move we approve consent agenda for approval A through D.
Second.
Okay, motion's been made and seconded to approve consent agenda 11A through D. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? I don't really have a lot to report on tonight. I think I talked about it pretty much earlier in the work session. I like that this is my first proclamation, and it's cool to have a couple of our biggest agencies, one right after another, 1-2 punch. So congratulations to the police and to the public works in the next couple weeks. That's all I got. Councilor President Morton.
Let's see, we're getting near graduation time, so I'm going to be excited about coming over to Senior Assembly and presenting a CLC Chance to Become award, and that's always exciting for me, and I think it's exciting for individuals to get that award. It's a very meaningful award, and it comes from our Columbia Learning Center group. Anyway, talked a lot about parks today, and so I don't have much more to report.
Councilor Khan?
I don't think I have anything to add to this afternoon's.
Okay. Councilor Carlson?
Just thank everybody for turning out. The testimony was very meaningful. I really appreciate when people come and participate in the process. I just want to, I know Paul's left, but I want to thank that his tireless dedication, no matter what's gone on in his family, his personal life, he continues to give to this community, and volunteers like Paul and like Judy Thompson earlier today with her work with NAMI just can't be overstated enough. Those people are doing a lot of work in addition to their full-time job and their family. We just appreciate them a lot. That's all I have.
All right. Councilor Locke?
I just want to congratulate Shedco for coming up with a great program and following their mission.
It's nice.
Yeah.
Right on. Thank you, Councilor Locke. Youth Councilor David?
So at our Monday meeting, we had 2 topics that were brought up. One being that we need to make a banner So at events and places that we can bring it and kind of show people what we are and what they can try and join or maybe look into and maybe see that we're actually doing something in the community. One of the things that I needed was when I had talked to them up at Bemmy's Printing, I believe I mispronounced that.
Bemis.
Yeah.
Bemis. I talked to him, and I'm going to be going there Friday with the student council emblem, but they do not have the city council emblem, which I need. How would I get that? Thank you. And one of the other things that we had talked about were the recreation activities for all summer. We're partnering up with the school district to help volunteer as well as like help throughout all summer to get kids interacted in the community. So throughout all the months, there's pretty much filled with things that kids can do. Like on June 2nd, which is our most recent volunteering that we're going to be doing, is a park movie night. We're going to be doing concessions as well as showing the movie and a little bit stuff before that. But I think it's going to go along pretty nicely. I think it's going to get a lot of people down here, and it's going to help broaden what we're trying to do.
Nice. I'm glad you guys are stepping up. Good work. Start over here with John. I might be going backwards compared to what you're used to.
Getting it mixed up. No. I don't have a whole lot more. The survey, Matt put out a number today of the amount of people that have picked up and taken that survey, and I don't know if you can shout it out, but okay, well, I'll defer to you then, but I guess I don't have anything further.
Okay. Kathy? Okay, Matt?
I did want to mention briefly about the survey that we did. We've had almost 700 now respondents for that survey link, which, as far as I know, is one of the most responsive surveys we've had for the city in quite a while. There was talk at the budget committee about how many demographics we're hitting as far as economic status, household status, and how do we try and reach as many people as possible. This is just my personal opinion, but out of 700 people, I have a hard time believing that we haven't touched at least some of all of those demographics, depending on whether they have internet or don't. Almost everybody, it seems, has some kind of social media account, whether it be Twitter or Facebook. After that budget committee meeting, Crystal specifically put out a Facebook post, an ad specifically at age for older generations to make sure that we hit that, and we got another big bump of about 40 or 50 people that hit us over almost to 700 people now. Out of 13,000 people in the city, a little over that, that's roughly a little over 5% of the population, which for any survey, people would love to have those results. So I'm very confident in the results that we have thus far. On that note, we do need to start kind of at least thinking about it in your mind about the public forum that you wanted to hold for the recreation department in the future. So just kind of think about that over the next few weeks, and maybe we can come back to picking a date and a location, I'm assuming at a larger facility. So just keep that in your mind. One thing I do want to show you that I've kind of been working on. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 6. So over the course of the budget committee meeting, we had a lot of talks about property taxes and how much it costs a resident and those kind of things. I wanted to at least give you kind of a sneak peek of what I'm working on. It's definitely not finished yet, and I definitely would welcome any feedback over the next week or so if you get a chance to read through this. It basically talks about the property tax rate in the city of St. Helens. I looked at our general fund to figure out how much per resident it costs each person. Roughly on a $200,000 house, we get about $380. Out of 13,000 residents and the cost of our general fund expenses, it ends up being about $525 per person. So if you have 4 people in your household, that would be about $2,100, whereas in a household we get $381. So then on the back, it kind of talks about where we get some of our other revenue for the general fund. And then the second half is kind of a little preview of of a property tax statement, literally that I took from the property tax records, and then explained what exactly each item is and what it is funding. So just to kind of give you an idea of what I've kind of slowly been dabbling in my free time. But like I said, I'm more than happy to hear any feedback or anything that you don't think is.
And this is under 200,000. This is 194.
Yes. Yep.
That's real market value too.
It might look familiar. So please take your time and read through this, and please let me know if there's any feedback or something that doesn't make sense to you, or you think something should be added. I've tried to keep it to one page, kind of a summary, 30,000 foot level as much as I could, but trying to explain some of the ambiances of city finance. Other than that, I don't have anything to report.
Thank you, Matt. Sorry. Margaret.
I don't have anything to add.
Who? Something?
Sure.
Okay.
No, thank you very much for the earlier proclamations. I think both of those are very important to recognize.
Absolutely.
And so this week, obviously, is the National Police Week, so we want to recognize our friends. I'm sorry Terry's not here this evening to say that, but I also just want to state how proud I am of our Public Works crews and the great work that they do. I know people get the impression that they don't do a lot of work out there, but they work their butts off, and they really are a great, great crew. I couldn't be more proud of them. And also, even though Public Works Week is next week, I'm going to be gone, so that's why we're doing breakfast on Friday. So, please come on by on Friday morning out at Public Works Shop, and we'll get you some breakfast.
Sounds good.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay.
Question: Is this going out? You said, or
No.
Eventually, I would like to, whether it be a handout or something we include as a utility bill insert or something like that. It's still a work in progress and still has some fine tuning before it actually gets released. But I wanted you to at least get feedback from you on.
Yeah, it's all good information, except they don't have anything to compare it with.
That's true. That's a good point. I appreciate that. I will look into figuring something out.
Yeah.
Okay, before I adjourn, is there anybody that the audience would like to come up and ask?
I wanted to just get back with you from earlier.
Can you state your name?
Tina Curry. And I wanted to get back to you from the discussion earlier on fireworks for one little topic. I got a hold of Western Fireworks, and they cannot guarantee us that we can do it on Sand Island. So their recommendation is that we keep it here for the final year. This will be the last chance that probably you'll ever have it on this side of the river.
Yeah.
And because they would have to repack all of the fireworks they already have planned for us, plus reassign staff. And the Coast Guard needs 125 or 135 days in advance to approve the permit. So without a guarantee, I don't feel like it's comfortable to be selling tailgating tickets when they don't know where the fireworks is. I think that's probably a bad choice with people, you know, that are paying to get in to see something, right? So with that in mind, just so you know that Radius does take over that whole area, is inaccessible for 4th of July.
But next year, we get to have it on the app.
Yeah, for sure. Well, we should just start promoting that now because we can.
And I think that'd be a good idea. Since we've been back and forth deciding what we were going to do,
Yeah.
maybe we should put out a press release saying.
I
"This
can
is what
do
we're
that, yeah.
And do you realize we can shoot off a 10-inch shell over there where we can only do 3 to 4s over here?
Yeah, that's what she was saying. So they would have
Just
to
the loud
unpack the whole thing and
big
repack
ones that go-
everything.
Ah.
And I do have one of the merchants that's also a building owner that just wanted to make a statement about Festival of the Fairies. If that's okay with you. So I will let Trina owns the building up in the Holton Business District.
Yep.
Hello.
Hi.
My name is Trina Romero Hash. I've seen several of you before. And I think it's best that we have more in our town than just Halloween Town. Like when we had the Fairy Festival, at least it was something new and different. In my business, in my building, a lot of people come from out of town and they talk about, well, the Pirate Festival, are you going to have it? The Fairy Festival, and they just want more than just Halloween. And Tina set up the fairy. What did you call that, Tina?
Festival of.
The Festival of the Fairies?
Yeah, I got
Yeah.
it too.
I mean, it was really cute. And by the time that people heard about it, they didn't really have time to get the tickets and go down there.
Yeah.
And I think now that the word is out, the next time they have that, it's going to be a lot bigger. And I think we need to show off the Columbia River because it's amazing. And the little town is really cute. But I think we need to circulate more people into our town, and we need to give them something to go for. I know Tina did a beautiful brochure to bring the boaters back in our town.
Mhm.
And that's going to create a lot of revenue for everyone. And I think if people can network and help each other out and get the word out there, that our town will grow and we'll have a lot more people interested in coming in here. So I guess I'm just here to say we need to have more celebrations to make people come out and to enjoy our little town, because I grew up in Scappoose and I remember when it was fun. I mean, the Porto Fun and the powwow, and we need to bring the life back in our town because I've seen it die off. And with Tina Curry's work, she's done a lot of amazing things. And I hear a lot of feedback because in my building, I have Lady J's, I have Wiggle Butts, I have Rogue Retrievers, I have Gentle Hands Dog Grooming, and then my store, Fashion Mystique. So I hear from a lot of places. And we just need more to bring people in. So I'm just hoping that you'll give Fairy World, or Fairy, what's it called? Festival of Fairies another try. I suck at names. So I just really want to bring more to this town and make it fun like it was when I grew up, a couple of years ago. So
Yes.
thank you for your time.
Yes, thank you.
Thank
Yep.
you.
I would agree that I would love to see more festivals in town. I would also like to see some of the public stepping forward and bringing us some of these activities like they used to happen.
Yep.
So yes.
Okay. So I don't see nobody else jumping, so we're adjourned.
Lights.
Yep. I have to try that. You might have to go heat it in the microwave now. Well, I didn't get on it. Well, I thought I'd be earlier, and I didn't realize